Hey guys, welcome back to Rags and Stitches and welcome to my living room. I am in my favorite recliner with my feet up, and this will be the sort of classroom for our knitting lessons. Yes, tonight will be our first knitting lesson. I don't know a lot about sewing, but I do know a little bit about knitting. I've been knitting for quite some time. When I had cancer 10 years ago, I've been in remission now 10 years. 10 years ago I started no, I didn't start. I was actually knitting before then, but I started really picking it up during the time when I went through chemo. I got very, very good at it, and I made several friends gifts, shawls and beautiful shawls, sweaters, and scarves and such. So I thought, like I promised, that we'd jump on here and get started knitting. So tonight, we're just going to start with some basics. We want to learn about the yarn, the different types of yarn, the different types of stitching that can come from different needle sizes and different needle sizes and yarn mixture together. What different things can and different stitches can be created. So let me show you a few tools you're going to need. In order to knit, you're going to need some needles, knitting needles, which you can buy virtually anywhere. And you can get all sizes. This is a small set of needles. This is the large set. When you knit with these, it's going to be usually larger yarn or yarn with little embellishments like this one. That's usually going to be what you do with the larger needles. When you knit with larger needles, usually you can finish a project pretty quickly, but it's going to be usually a little looser. Not always, but the stitches will be looser. When you knit with the smaller needles, stitches will come out tighter, like my project that I'm working on here. Let's talk about the sizes of the needles. I have all different sizes. Um, these are made of plastic. These are a size 17, very large, as you can see. And those are what we're going to start with tonight with our big fat yarn, our big twist yarn. These are size 5, and you can see how small they are. So let's hold them up together and just look at how small. Look at the difference. So you're obviously going to get different stitches, right? Well, the size 5 is made of bamboo. Let's talk about material. So the bamboo, it's a little bit, it's not as user friendly for beginners as big fat plastic is, okay? There also are needles that are metal. I've got mine somewhere, but they're not in here by me, so we're not going to worry about it because we're not knitting with metal ones anyway tonight. The metal are good for beginners. However, you have to be careful of slipping a stitch because the fabric will slide, the yarn will slide on those metal needles. My favorite to knit with, honestly, is bamboo. However, which is what this is. But I also like the big fat needles. Okay. And if you want to whip up a scarf really quickly, get you some of these. Now, you can buy much larger ones, by the way. Um, there are a lot of the younger crowd uses circular needles. I've never knitted with those. I've always done it the old school way. That's just the way I like it. So if you're here to learn about circular knitting, I'm not the one. So, because I haven't even tried it. Now, am I interested in trying it? Oh, sure. I'll learn it eventually. But right now, I like doing it the old school way. This is the way we were raised doing it with the 2 needles, regular knit needles. All you buy is 2 things. Knitting is one of the cheapest hobbies. It really, really is. It's just one of the cheapest, certainly cheaper than sewing or making jewelry or whatever craft where you buy a lot of supplies. What's so great about this is all you need is yarn and needles, and you can carry it anywhere with you. That's another good thing. Okay, so uh, let's see, we're talking about size of it. Now, let me show you some variations on based on different needles that you're using. And then we'll talk about the yarn. If you're using a number 5 small bamboo, or number 5 needle, um, look how tight the stitching is. It comes out beautiful. You can make some really um, tight knitted items. I think what I'm planning to do is make a little purse with this, but I'm going to sew the two sides together, not just knit them all the way around. Like I'm going to cast off this one and then make another one and sew them together. Okay, let me show you based on the different variations of needles. I do have some metal ones here. Okay, here's some metal needles. Let me show you those. This one is a number. The numbers are on the ends of the needles here on the round part. I don't know if I can read it. Number 7. I think these are number 7. But you can see the difference. Where's the bamboo? Let's compare it. Still, the bamboo is so much smaller, you see. So the metal needles are really nice. I do like using them, but the yarn slides quite easily on those. Okay, so let me pull up what can be made. I need to quickly hold on a minute. Let's see. I'm going to slide these on this project that I'm not working on anymore, but I was going to show you. This is thicker yarn, okay? This is how the thicker yarn can look with the number 17 needle, okay? That's kind of it there. But if you wanted to knit really loosely, say you wanted to make somebody a scarf and you wanted the holes not so tight. You didn't want the stitching quite so tight. You wanted to actually be able to see the circles of you wanted it to look like loose crochet or something. Then you get the bigger needles and they will do that. Now, something you do know probably would not work. I mean, it might, I don't know, but would be to use um say yarn that's meant for like a 4 millimeter needle and you use the 17. So you really don't want to do that. But if you want to try it in some cases, it'll work. But that's what I love about knitting. It's really up to you what you want to do. Now, the needles will run you, I mean, there's such a variation of prices. Bamboo is, like I said, my favorite. It's it's good for beginners, but it can be harder to slide your yarn. But what I like about bamboo is, to me, they're a little bit nicer and easier to control. Bamboo needles can run you a little bit more cost wise. Now, the plastic needles obviously are going to be fairly cheap. You can get a set of these at Walmart for pretty cheap. I don't know, maybe $10, 15 tops would be 20. But yeah, these are pretty cheap. And the metal ones as well. And you can get all kinds of needles, and like I said, the young girls do the circular needles. I don't do those. Ooh, I didn't mean to yawn on y'all. Um So, it's really a preference. It's what you want. Now, some people are like me and they're knitting with different sizes all at once. That's me. I've got a project over here, a project over here. So let me give you an example. I've got this project going on the number 5 bamboo. I've got I'm starting this with you guys on the big twist yarn with the big needles, number 17 needle. I also have this project here, which is really pretty. Hold on and I will show you. Ooh, I can find out how to get it out of there. Right here. Now this is bamboo. It's one or I think it's one more size up, and I love this yarn. This yarn is beautiful. However, look how tight it knits. I mean, look at the stitches with the bamboo. Because this is really a thicker yarn. Comes out very pretty though. Very pretty. So as you can see, I have many projects going on at once. My favorite though are still the bamboo needles. When you're not knitting to hold your place, they have knitting markers, but I don't use those. I just push my thread up my yarn up like this and stick it in the ball. Okay, so that's just some little tips for you. Okay, let's talk about yarn real quick and then we'll get started. Um, when you get a skein, I don't know if it's correctly said skein or skein. I call it a skein of yarn. Hopefully, I'm saying it right. I don't know. When you get a skein of yarn, it comes with this label on it. Okay. So the label is going to give you some info, which we're going to go over in a minute. But if you open the label and look inside, it actually a lot of times has a pattern for something inside the label. So a lot of people tear it and keep the labels. It has patterns of something to knit, which I think is great because you get a little free pattern. Okay, there are different materials or different types of yarn. This one it says it right here on the front. It is 65% acrylic, 25% wool, and 10%. No, that was it. 65% acrylic and 25% wool and 10% polyester, I believe. PES. I think that's polyester. Um, this brand is called Big Twist and it's by Gigi. This is 93 yards or 3.5 ounces. 85 meters, 100 grams. Okay. And this is in the color navy blue marine, which is funny because this is not navy blue or marine. This has pinks and gray. I mean, this is quite different. This is super bulky. It will tell you what level that yarn is, if what it is. Super bulky, 6 diameter. That's the yarn in diameter. The recommended needle that you would use is here. It'll say US and the size next to it. This one says the recommended needle for this is a US 11. Well, we're going to do something fun and we're using a US 17. So it's not the recommended needle for this yarn. I just want to see how it comes out. And I also want to use a big needle so you can see how to learn to cast on. Okay. So on the label, you find out all this information. There's also cotton yarn. Cotton yarn is not, it's one of my favorites, but it's not really super friendly for beginners. But I just taught one of my friends, she comes every Friday, and I teach her how to knit. And she is like me and loves this cotton yarn. I mean, it just makes the coolest stuff. However, it's not always easy to knit with. So there again, there's some different types of yarn, and there's plenty more to learn, guys. But I suggest you get on YouTube to do a little research on knitting before you even start. Um, but I'm going to go ahead and start with you tonight. For those of you who have been waiting to learn to knit, tonight is the night to get started. Okay. Um, we've talked about the needles. We've talked about the thread of the yarn. There's also just plain acrylic yarn. You can usually go to thrift shops and find balls of yarn very easily. You will be challenged learning to knit, but once you get it, you're going to fall in love with it. So get ready, and then you'll be addicted. Um, so the only materials you need are the needles and the yarn, and eventually you need scissors, and that's it. So I use my little sewing scissors for this, my little hand sewing scissors, and these are pretty sharp. This one does not have a pattern on the inside, but they usually have a pattern on the inside of the label, depending on what brand you get. All right, so let's get started. The only thing we're learning tonight, the only thing is casting on. That's all we're learning. So let's talk about the stitches. There's casting on. That's how you start a project. Then there is knit stitch. Then there is purl stitch. And then there is casting off. Okay. All the other stitches in knitting that you'll see with different names are based on knit stitch and purl stitch. So the other stitches are made up like a combination of the two. Knit 1, purl 2, knit 3, purl 5, whatever. That's the basics of knitting right there, which is great. You know, it sounds confusing, but it's really easy. Okay. It is challenging to first get the hang of the cast on. To me, and this is just an opinion, when I learned to cast on, it was more difficult than when I learned the knit stitch. So, it's not easy. Okay, here we go. So we're going to take our new yarn here and we're going to make a slip knot. If you already know how to make a slip knot, wonderful. You're going to just need to make a knot. You don't even have to make a slip knot. You could just make heck, I don't know. Hold on a minute. I'm going to figure out how. I know my friend did it the other day and she was able to do it really nicely, but we're just going to tie us a knot. Just tie you a knot. Just don't tie it up. So make a loop just like that. Okay, let's undo it and do it again. Okay, just like you're tying, like you're making it, like you're going to tie it, but you're not. Okay, that's not a slip knot though. You're going to want a bit of a tail. So let me pull this back out again and let's do this. Just trying to figure out how to do. I was going to figure out how to do a slip knot. Just forget it. Let's just do it my way. All right, just do a knot. Leave a little tail. So you should have a circle. You see it? And your yarn loose. Okay. Now, once I put it on here, you're really going to see it good. Okay. So you're going to have a stringy bit hanging here. You're going to have the loop around it. See, it's just tied once. It's not in a knot. It's not in anything else. It's just loose, tied once around the needle. That's how you're going to start. So let's pull it off so you can look at it again. It should just be a loop. It's no knot here, okay? It's just tied once. Your tail is here. You're going to leave this here the entire time to the end of the project. So the whole time it's going to kind of get on your nerves because it'll be there, but that's okay. So you're going to hold the needle in your left hand, okay? leaving the tail hanging just like that freely. Get your other needle. Now, let me mention this. There are many young girls and other people who knit who use their fingers to cast on. I've seen it. I like the old school way. So if you want to learn the old school way of knitting, not to mention it's the way they do it in England, which I'm not English, but I used to live there. But it's the old school way of how to knit. Then this is the method, okay? But there's many other, I'm not denying, there's other methods of learning. There's other ways of doing it. This is the way I learned to cast on. Okay, so your tail is there. Okay, so we need to go, I probably picked the wrong yarn because of the embellishments. Okay, you have, as you know, a little knot right here. You're going to slide that needle, and I'm going really slow for you guys, okay? Slide that needle right there till it's between, you see the hoop is around them both. And you're going to kind of do like a cross with it, okay? Now you're going to pick up this thread from underneath, okay? This thread right here. Then you're going to, and you've got your two needles in your left hand. Your right hand is your yarn, okay? You're going to wrap it backwards and around. Let's do that again. So here it is. Backwards around the needle and to the front. Do it again. I messed up on that time. Okay, back and around. So your thread should be, when you finish doing that little step, that little motion, it should be between both needles. Okay, let's do it one more time. We've inserted the needle. Let's do the whole thing again. Okay, so make sure that's snug there. Slide it right there above the knot. Make a cross. Pull this. Wrap it back and through. Okay. Now, this is the tricky part. It's hard for you to see because that's in the way. My tail's in the way. Okay, so the tricky part. Now we're left with your thread. Your yarn is between the two needles. The hoop is around both of them. Hold it with your thumb. Okay. And what you're going to do next, you're going to start sliding. I take my finger and push a little bit here. This is the hard part, guys. You see that right there? You can't see because of that. We're going to scoop it. And now it's on this side. That's that loop, okay? And then we're going to take it and pull it, slide it up, and we're going to put it on our needle and tighten. That is your first stitch. Congratulations. That is your first stitch on casting on. Those are your stitches. You see them? Okay. Let's keep going. Let's do it again. Okay. You see, here's your stitches. Your needle, when you go to put it in, is going to go above them and through. Only on one. So down through one, just like that. Take your yarn around and cross in the front, around and between. Start sliding it. There's that little thing we want to catch. You see that right there? We want to catch that loop right there. Catch it, pull it up, and sit it back on your needle and pull. We've got 3 stitches now, okay? This little tail is giving me a little fit, but that's okay. It doesn't usually do that, but this is a weird yarn. Okay, so how many stitches do we have now? We have 3. 3 stitches in our cast on. Okay, let's keep going. This is all we're doing tonight. So we're going to go again. And I'm holding these weird for you just to show you. You're going to go in right there, okay? And here. Make sure it's in a cross. Okay, there it is. It's in a cross. Okay. Take this yarn here, right? Wrap it. Wait a minute. There it is. Wrap it. It's in the cross. Okay. Wrap it around. Let's do that again. Wrap right there and through. So it's in the middle of the two. Okay. This little bit right here, right there between these two needles, you see that yarn? That's what we need to pick up with the other. Slide. I'm going to try to get a good angle. And you want to catch it with the end of this needle. See, there it is. Catch it, scoop it underneath, and pull it. There it is. And then you're going to pull it up, making careful not to twist it, and put it on the other needle and pull. Now, how many stitches do we have? I'm trying to get mine to the point where it looks right in front of me. Okay, so now you're noticing these little knots as we're making them. Okay, now casting on, let me explain. Casting on is going to end up however many stitches you cast on is going to equal the length, or I should say the width of the length of the garment or whatever you're stitching. Casting on is how you start everything, every project. You have to know, like, say, oh, I want to make a scarf for somebody. Okay, well, you're going to have to cast on at least about 40 stitches. And then once we've stitched 40, they'll be like up to here. Then we'll start knit stitching from those 40 stitches. You get what I'm saying? So that is how you make them. That's how you knit. All right, so we learned it. Goodness, we learned casting on. So just keep practicing. Let's say it again here. Through the top of the knot, make a cross, take the yarn, wrap it around the back and in between. Then pull your needle down, scoop that little bit right there underneath the other, pull it, and sit it back on top. And you, my friends, have learned to cast on. Now, this is going to be a little series of knitting lessons. We will be doing more, and I'll probably be getting better at teaching it because I feel like I'm going too fast. Knitting takes time to learn, guys. Don't get frustrated. If you mess up, start again. Make your little slip knot or your little knot like I did. And I mean, look at this. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches on here. So the more you knit, the more you're going to start to see what's forming. Around middle. Push it through. And the more you get used to your needles, you'll learn how to use your fingers to work them. Like watch when I do a casting on stitch. I go through, see how I'm using my thumb here to hold it in place so it don't slip. Pop it through, put it on top. So you're going to want to keep going. We're going to fill it up. And I will be back next time to teach you knit stitch. But we're still on the casting on. Practice, practice, guys. Go watch some YouTube videos of some people who can teach a lot better than me. So knitting is a lot of fun. It doesn't cost hardly anything. I hope you enjoyed our knitting lesson tonight. When you're stopping your knitting for a minute and you're not wanting to continue, you're going to push this up to make sure it doesn't, slide too much because you don't want to slip your stitches. and stick it back in like that and put it in your little bucket, which I have right here, or bag, whatever you have. I have a little bucket. So I love it. We've learned how to cast on. See you next time here on Rags and Stitches. We will practice some more of our casting on, and then we will move on to the knit stitch. I hope you enjoyed your first lesson in knitting, and feel free to go on YouTube and really research, because I'm not correct on every single thing. I'm just here to help you guys out in case you wanted to learn in a simple form, because that's how I learn. Very simplicity. All right, guys, practice your casting on, and we will see you next time on Rags and Stitches. All right, guys, have a great evening, and remember to keep sewing and keep knitting. Bye.